Hey, Alvernia community, welcome to our February edition of the Alumni Spotlight. And this month, in honor of February being American Heart Month, I asked alumna Brittany Heerwagen to be our special guest so we could hear a little more about her story. So thank you, Brittany. Hi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Absolutely. So super simple, like I usually start these off. I just want to learn a little bit about you and Alvernia. So what is your degree?
I received a bachelor's in healthcare science and a master's of science in occupational therapy from Alvernia.
Awesome. So then I'm assuming you're an OT. So what's your current employment? What are you doing now?
So currently, yes, I'm an occupational therapist for almost 2 years now. I'm also currently the director of rehab at Phillipsburg Complete Care in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. It's a small nursing home, but I've been that for about a few months now.
Awesome. So can you kind of tell me, like, going into this role, what are some of the responsibilities that you have as being the director?
I man the whole ship here. So I am the go-to person for my entire rehab department. I help run it here. I help do, and in addition to treating the entire OT caseload, I help complete all the administrative tasks here, make sure that everything's running smoothly. Honestly, there's a whole list of things, but mainly my job is just to keep the rehab department running. And if there's any issues, to go to my regional about it and all of that.
So I'm assuming then at this level, you don't have patients. You basically manage everyone who has the patients and that it
No,
runs.
I actually have the entire OT caseload.
Oh,
But
really?
if I need additional help, I do. There's another building near us. So I have some assistants, occupational therapy assistants. They come over and help me when we get really busy. But yes, only a 60-bed facility. So it's not that crazy. But for the majority of the part, yeah, I treat while I also, in addition, do a lot of administrative work.
That is a lot. Your days must be crazy.
They are, but I honestly really love it. And it I thought it was going to be a lot first, but it's really not. It's a really great place to be. Again, it's small, so it works out.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So kind of on that, what do you love most about being an OT?
I really love just giving people their independence back and helping people, be as functional as they can be, reaching their full potential, helping them do those things again that they used to be able to do once upon a time, but can't because of, weakness or deformity or disease and whatnot. I just really love. It's rewarding when we have subacute here, so when we get to see people go home who wouldn't have had that chance if they didn't receive rehab. So it's really rewarding that aspect.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're doing great work. And
Mhm.
I know it's not easy. So that's great. I commend you so much. Thanks for the work you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, so with the OT degree that you got at Alvernia, what kind of impact have you seen that have on your career thus far?
Just the the degree itself, or like just my whole experience being in Alvernia.
I mean, both.
Because I feel, obviously I'm an OT because of, I really like how our school is centered around service and emphasis on that. That has really had an impact on coming from, it's funny how I was promoted to this position at such or so early on in my career. I was able, I remember the first thing that popped to my mind when they asked me if I wanted to be the supervisor. I was like, I'm going to be an ethical leader with moral courage. And, and I know that sounds cheesy, but in healthcare, things can get a little hair, sometimes it's, hard. You got to stay ethical and all that. And I just, I really feel like the morals that were embedded into our OT classes and, just all around, being at school and just all the different leadership positions I had with being an RA and head RA and much more. It's really just helped shape me into who I am today. That gave me the confidence and the morality and the courage to take on this position at such a young age.
Wow, that is awesome. Congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
that's just amazing, and I'm sure, it was scary accepting something like that because you're second guessing, am I really prepared for this? But kind of like you said, I like how you intertwined your experience of being an RA into going into this type of role and the things that your classes in Alvernia has taught you about just morality and who you are and giving back to others. And I mean, that's what you do in your job every single day.
Yeah.
So it's correlated so well for you.
Hmm.
So now kind of going more into American Heart Month. Can you tell me how you became so passionate about congenial heart awareness and what that means for you?
It means a lot to me. It's a personal part of my life. It's in my entire life. I was born with tetralogy of Fallot, one of the 18 to 22 CHD conditions that there are out there. It's been my whole life. I'm super passionate about it because I know what it's like to be someone with CHD, to have a life and to live it, how it impacts you on the daily basis. And I just really wanted to bring awareness to it because I realize not a lot of people are aware of it. Like you hear of cancer and all these other things, which are just as important. But I was finding that not a lot of people, especially my freshman year at Alvernia, a lot of my friends were like, "What's that? Like what's tetralogy flow and why can't you do certain things?" And I remember having my surgery going into my sophomore year, and I had a lot of questions and just it just really, I really want to just educate people on something that, it's the more you know, the better. Um, so that's mainly where I started with all of this.
So were you in college when you found out you had this?
No, so I was diagnosed at 4 days old.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
yes, so congenital or congenial, it means you were born with it.
Okay.
So all these conditions you get at birth in utero. I was born in 1996. So around that time, they really weren't finding these things in the uterus, but now they can prior to birth. So they're able to be more prepared, but they didn't know. I literally was in the car seat ready to go home. And thank God, I actually had a Russian pediatrician listen to my heart one more time, and that's when she found the murmur. So literally, if she didn't find it, I unfortunately probably would have expired and went when I went home. So,
Wow.
and that's another thing, like the fact that I was turning blue, I was showing all these signs and symptoms in the hospital, but no one was really like my mom. They were just telling my mom, "You're just a new mother. Don't be nervous." But she's like, "No, my daughter's turning blue. That's the telltale signs of TOF, tetralogy of flow. Your lips turn blue, your fingertips turn blue when you're a baby." Um, and so again, it's not just educating the public, but just, nowadays we know more about it. But back then, and years before that, it was kind of like the dark ages of pediatric cardiology. They
Mhm.
weren't really, it's not something you look for straight out of the get-go. So
Right. So, I personally don't know really anything about it. So is there some type of treatment, or I know you kind of said there's restrictions around things you can do. So what's that like?
so mainly I'll start with what my condition is. So there's all sorts of different types of congenital heart defects. Some range from just a hole in your heart to you're missing parts of your heart, or your heart's backwards, or whatnot. Tetralogy of Fallot mainly is there's anatomical parts of your heart that are impairing your ability to bring oxygen to your lungs. My right ventricle was enlarged. My septal defect had a hole in it. My aorta is anatomically backwards or something like that than the normal, but it still functions. And the major part is my pulmonary valve wasn't working. So I had surgeries all my life to fix that. And then I had my main valve replacement. They put a bovine in and when I was 19 in college. So that's when they had did that final repair. And thank God for that repair because I actually feel a lot better. I'm able to breathe better. I don't become as tired as I used to. I definitely noticed a change because growing up until I had that major repair,
Mhm.
I wasn't allowed to play coach sports. He was afraid, my doctor, if I couldn't play basketball or anything. I was in archery, I was in band, but anything that involved like running or that was contact in any way. They just shied from that because they were afraid that if I needed to take a break or something, I wouldn't be able to during a game. So I was impaired that way. I wasn't allowed to, be into sports and whatnot. If I got tired, I would just have to just take it easy. Certain things, we just always had to be extra cautious with me, especially like just with the regular flu or something, that could really, or especially strep throat that impacts your heart. We just have, and I did have that as a kid, we just always had to be more cautious. But other than that, was able to do most things every other kid was able to do. Just if I felt like I was tired or needed a break, I just took a break. But that's only specific to mine. Again, like there's so many different CHDs out there that I know some people are more limited than me. So I feel blessed, honestly, to have what I have, because some people look at me and they don't even notice. Like they don't even think I'm sick, is what we like to call it. I don't view myself as disabled or sick, but definitely before my valve replacement, I felt more impaired. But that's because I had already had a valve that wasn't really working. So
wow. Well, we're certainly happy to have you here today. You were here for a reason and for a purpose. And even the fact that you're just talking about it and speaking about it and making it more known to people is super important. So I know you said that now you feel a lot better. So if you wanted to play a sport, go running, even if it's something that wasn't contact, like if you wanted to go to the gym, certain things you can and can't do there.
no, I can do it as much as, my body's able to, up to my own. It's just whatever I feel comfortable doing, I really don't have any limitations right now, but again, I always just have to be cautious in the back of my head. Like, remember, you have this condition, and with any medical procedure or anything in life, you just always have to be cautious and think things through and make sure this won't have an impact in any way. But for the most part, I honestly live a healthy, happy life. I'm active. I'm really into gardening. I garden, which is, people don't realize, very physically intense sometimes. I go for walks, I exercise, I go to the gym. I'm able to lift patients. I'm really, again, that's the thing. People don't think I have a heart condition until they see my scar or I tell them. So that's the beauty of at least my condition. I can't speak for everyone, again, who has different types, but at least with tetralogy of flow, I feel blessed that I got one of the least, how do I say this? One of the conditions that doesn't really impact your quality of life all too much once you have your major valve replacement. So
wow. Well, you have certainly been through a lot. But since you are such an advocate for it, can you tell me what types of things you're doing to just spread the word, to make awareness of it? Have you been featured anywhere else for this?
yes, so I definitely kicked off more in college, my passion for this and for getting the word out. I was in a billboard in Times Square for Heart Month in 2020.
That is
So
awesome.
yeah, it was kind of like one of those out of body like life experience type of things, because it wasn't expected. So the story goes, second year after my open heart surgery, I've had a friend, she was a model, and I always said, oh my god, I would love to one day just do a photo shoot with my scar, because let's be honest, society's not very accepting of scars sometimes. I think we're a little better now, but to be a young woman with a giant scar going down the middle of your chest, it's, I'm not gonna lie and say there weren't days that I wish I didn't have it, but and I wanted to break that boundary though with, beauty and scars and all of that. So I kind of just wanted to do this for me, to just have like a therapy session of just taking pictures and whatnot. And so I did that. It was really great. They did it for free for me, which was amazing. She had a whole team of photographers, makeup and hair artists and everything. So they did, my hair up and everything. And he took these really awesome pictures. So I was just honestly for a whole year just keeping these to myself. I'm like, this is my little happiness. I did this for me. But then through Mendon Little Hearts Association, there's all sorts of organizations, but through them, they were doing a photo contest. So I asked the permission of the photographer, and he's like, yeah, they're yours. Like, I gave you full permission to do whatever you want with them. So I entered them in the contest for my age group and I won. So
Wow.
that was, yeah, so that was exciting. But little did I know, like a year later, they were going to put it on a billboard in Times Square. So
Wow.
nobody
So
told me. I actually was sitting in my dorm. I remember I was in Veronica Hall as an RA. I was sitting in my dorm on my bed and I was scrolling through Facebook and I see them make a post and it's my picture on a billboard at 1500 Broadway. And I was like, what?
wow.
So it was a really surreal moment. It was great, but I was so excited because my dream was always to empower other young women to love their bodies because life is beautiful and this scar gave you life. And there's nothing much, I get choked up because my cardiologist told me some sad news. I go to New York University Hospital, so it was actually very fitting that I had a billboard in Times Square. And I've been with them for my whole life. And he told me that some families deny this life-saving surgery because they don't want their child to have the scar. They're worried about social implications or they're very reluctant to have this surgery. And I was blown away. I was like, what? We need to do something about this. Someone's, doesn't want to live because they're worried about what they're going to look like.
Right.
Like I still don't believe it, and you're under 18. So these kids couldn't make a decision for themselves as their parents. And I was like blown away. I'm like, who doesn't want to live? Like,
Yeah.
so this was really, because I was like, oh my God, this is how I'm going to do it. Like, it just kind of all fell into place. I'm like, now whoever's driving into New York City, to NYU hospital or wherever they're going, hopefully a young girl can see, because I remember always being in the waiting room and I just left the pediatric, wing, but I would see like 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds. And I remember this one girl in the waiting room, she was crying because she was told she had had open heart surgery and she kept talking about the scar. And I would, I kind of kicked myself. I didn't say anything. She was very upset. It was with her family, but if the chance was given to me, I would have if I felt the time was right.
Mhm.
Um, but I was just like, wow, hopefully this way at least one person will see it and be empowered because they're really great photos. I don't know if you've seen them, but I really just I it was just a great opportunity. I was like, I'm hoping at least one person was empowered or inspired or felt beautiful about their scar, because there's nothing more beautiful than living and life, and you shouldn't let society and a scar get in the way of that. So definitely, I felt that that was a big um, part of that. And then from there on out, I honestly just have been sharing with people, friends, family, just posting on Facebook is my main thing about during Heart Month. I like post something every day. Um, and then I look to they have like walks, they have heart walks and everything. So I do those and everything on the side. But I look more forward to, getting involved with my chapter near me,
Mhm.
through the Heart Association and everything. And just really, doing that. But I just feel just living and just living your life to the fullest with this scar. I don't hide it. If I'm at the gym, I wear it proudly and I work out, and I know I can tell people are like, oh my God, like, aren't you sick or something? And I think the best way to advocate is just keep living and just, wear your scar proudly.
I totally agree. And I mean, sharing your story, I mean, that, you have to be so brave to share your story and let others hear it so that even if they don't have it or they don't know someone with it, they're more knowledgeable about it and they can go talk to other people about it. And I, I completely agree with you on the scar. Like, your scar makes you beautiful. It makes you unique. It shows your story. It shows that you're a warrior, that you went through something that was crazy and you're here and you're still living and you're surviving and you're going day to day and living it to the fullest. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I think your story is absolutely beautiful. So,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So if you could give one piece of advice just to anyone regarding American Heart Month, specific to your issue or not, what type of advice would you give to people?
I definitely would, honestly, for any condition, not just congenital. Heart Month's all about every heart disease out there and everything. Just, early detection is key. if you feel something's wrong or something, it never hurts to just go get an EKG, or, have someone listen to your heart. If any of the symptoms you start to feel, heart attacks unfortunately, there's just so many, things out there that could be wrong with your heart. And I just definitely just early detection. And even if you and your family know that someone has a heart defect, and you're pregnant, they can do fetal echocardiograms in utero. So that's great. But again, just early detection and just be aware, keep in the back of your mind symptoms of heart disease and, different things, and just, keep moving, honestly, too. Like, that's number one thing too. Everyone thinks, oh, you have a heart condition, you're sick, shouldn't, you should stay kind of sedative in a way. I'm like, no, you need to keep moving. Like, walking, my cardiologist said, is actually better than running sometimes, believe it or not. So it's easier on your joints, and it's just something you can enjoy. So even just if it's going walking, or out during lunchtime or something, just keep moving and just try to keep your body as healthy as possible, honestly.
That's great. That's certainly advice that all of us need and can follow. I mean, if walking is such an easy, simple thing for most people to do every single day. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story with us. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're an Alvernia alum, and that you're doing amazing and great things. And now you're giving back and helping so many others through being an OT. So thank you so much, Brittany, for your time. I really appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Go Wolves.